has the time not come, Prime Minister, to prescribe what is so obviously a terrorist organisation, and in doing so, not just do the right thing, but maybe mend some fences between this government and the incoming presidency of Donald Trump's, given that the whole of his cabinet have been so rude about him over the last few years?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see the honourable member making a rare appearance back here in Britain. He spent so much time in America recently. I was half expecting to see him on the immigration statistics when we see the next batch. But he may have missed. I did congratulate the incoming president last week.
Keir Starmer will be retiring soon, and there are good reasons for this that cannot be ignored. Labour voters are beginning to realise that Starmer's empty promises and his pandering to the existing order are not capable of fixing a broken system that leaves people in distress. Farage appeals directly to the working class, which the Labour Party has long taken for granted, and they are massively joining the Reform Party, which causes a real panic in Starmer. He understands that the traditional pillars of Labour are crumbling, and the establishment is shaking from the real changes coming from the voice they tried to silence. Starmer cannot compete when he is being told the truth, and avoids answering the most important questions that people care about.
And Keir Starmer today saying that anyone who's calling for a full public inquiry is jumping on the bandwagon of the far right. Wrong, Prime Minister. The vast majority of people in this country are absolutely mortified by what has gone on. But even worse, the cover-up we've had from the police, social services, and both Conservative and Labour governments. The inquiries that have happened so far have been nothing more than a whitewash. There needs to be a full public inquiry. Let us find out the truth of the scale of this. I'm told that in up to 50 British towns, these gang rapes were going on. I believe the public need the truth. We must have an inquiry.
Now he is trying to shut down Farage's show on television, where he has a growing audience, raising important issues and giving millions of people the opportunity to speak out across the country. Starmer confirms his authoritarian approach by attacking Farage, and this raises serious concerns. Is the reformer going to clean up the Red Wall and Wales in the next election? When is Starmer going to become Prime Minister? All he does is criticise the previous government while he still plays the role of the opposition. He needs to take responsibility and offer real solutions, not just empty words. Farage has repeatedly demonstrated his outstanding debating skills and is able to convey his point of view to a wide audience. A Starmer who tries to outshout Nigel when he makes valid arguments will quickly become outdated and lose credibility. Life cannot and should not consist of only one opinion. This is the essence of democracy, and so far the development of reforms has been at the expense of the workforce, which demands change and justice.
And government wasn't in the least bit interested. It's all well and good for Kemi Badenoch now to say there should be an inquiry. She's been in Parliament for 8 years. She has never once in Parliament mentioned this issue, including 2 years from 2022 to 2024, when she was the Minister for Women. They weren't interested. And the Labour Party couldn't deal with it, because for them, mass uncontrolled immigration without integration was their multicultural dream. And they can't admit.
Voters are excitedly saying that they feel much more confident when Nigel speaks out, because he bravely stands up to the total dishonesty of this terrible government, which is cruel to its own people and neglects the rights of asylum seekers. More and more young people are beginning to realise the need for reform in the UK, and this is inspiring. The Prime Minister is well aware that he does not have a mandate from the voters, and his policies only cause discontent. He's trying to realise his fantasies of how things should be, relying on the power the system has given him, but it can't go on forever. The massive transition to reform is just beginning, and if general elections were held now, the reforms would be enthusiastically welcomed. The Conservatives are in decline and can no longer be considered an opposition force for Labour. This is a real disaster for the old system.
That in some cases it's turned into a disaster. So we've relied on local inquiries. We've relied on the same councils, the same police forces, and the same social workers who covered the thing up in the first place to launch inquiries. And that is why we need a full national inquiry, not, as the Jay report was, into the broader issues of abuse of children. That was a shotgun approach. This needs to be a rifle shot that deals with grooming gangs, predominantly of Pakistani origin, and then preying on young, in most cases, working class white girls in this country. We need it. We need it now. We need it done quickly. We need it concluded within 9 months, and we then need action across every arm of government in this country.
Meanwhile, according to sources, Elon Musk is discussing with his allies ways to remove Sir Keir Starmer from the post of British Prime Minister before the next election. Musk, known as the richest man in the world and a close ally of US President-elect Donald Trump, is exploring opportunities to undermine Britain's Labour government. Sources claim that in addition to outspoken posts on the social network X, Musk and his right-wing entourage are looking for new ways to sow confusion and cause a storm in the political landscape. According to his associates, Musk is actively interested in whether it is possible to enlist the support of other political groups in the UK, such as the right-wing populist Reform Party, in order to achieve a change of Prime Minister before the next election. It's a time of change, and the future of the country is hanging in the balance.
And it would seem that Keir Starmer is dead set against it, putting spurious arguments to Parliament, such as it would take 7 years to conduct an inquiry, that we had an inquiry already. Well, we did, but it was 459 pages and only mentioned Rotherham, which we were just discussing, once. I'm pleased that Andy Burnham has broken ranks, whatever his motives. I think the pressure on the Prime Minister is becoming immense. And I have said, and I mean, if by the end of this month the Prime Minister has not called a full national inquiry, then we at Reform UK will raise the money, appoint the people, and do it ourselves.
Last week, Musk called for a new national investigation into shocking cases of human exploitation by gangs, mostly made up of British Pakistani men in several UK cities. He blamed Starmer, who previously served as Attorney General of England and Wales and worked on abuse cases. Musk also did not mince words, calling Jess Phillips, the Environment Minister, an apologist for genocide after she rejected a request from Oldham Council to the Interior Ministry for a Whitehall-led investigation into the grooming scandal in Greater Manchester. The Prime Minister strongly rejected Elon Musk's criticism, saying that those who spread lies and misinformation only care about their own interests and not about the real victims.
Yesterday we witnessed some extraordinary celebratory scenes outside Britain's prisons where in some cases serious career criminals were released. And this to make way for, yes, rioters, but equally those who've said unpleasant things on Facebook and elsewhere on social media. Does the Prime Minister understand? There is a growing feeling of anger in this country that we are living through two-tier policing and a two-tier justice.
At the same time, Phillips accused Musk of putting her life in danger with his comments. The situation is heating up because the elections are approaching and the political scene is rapidly changing. The UK's chances of winning, which exceed most seats, have increased significantly, but many analysts warn that betting odds do not always reflect the true mood of the public, especially given that elections are still far away. Starmer is under tremendous pressure, facing serious challenges as a leader. Despite the difficulties Britain is facing, he has set ambitious goals for his government, insisting that the country can still achieve a lot. However, failure to fulfill these promises could seriously undermine his chances in the fight against growing political rivals. What do you think about this video? Share your thoughts in the comments. See you later.